big up, and welcome to Liberal 12th Man Show. This is Liberal 12th Man, and I'm here with another Liberal 12th Man, Lee, in the house. He's back in the crazy place we call YouTube. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Very well. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, we got the assignment was to basically see if you agreed that we needed some proper representation for that debate over a combined 11, and some of us watched it, or at least Lee and myself watched it. I don't know if you watched the episode or not, but we can pretty much bring you in to the conversation in case you don't want to watch it and you just want to hear exactly the crib notes. But also, I did see that there was some stuff going on in the chat that spoke on our player Jeremy Jacquet. That is now pretty much a hot topic. So before we even start, I'll get into the Liverpool update, which is the Jeremy the JJ injury concern, or the Jeremy Jacquet injury concern. And that is obviously Liverpool's newest defensive signing. Jeremy Jacquet was forced off with a shoulder injury during Ryan's 3-1 League One defeat to Lens on Saturday night. The 20-year-old appeared to land awkwardly in the 69th minute, immediately clutching his shoulder and screaming out in pain. Jacquet required on-field treatment before being helped off by medical staff and replaced by Nagida. Rhines has initially taken the lead in the match, but Lens, who currently sit top of the league table, responded emphatically by obviously winning 3-1. But the shoulder injury is apparently significant enough that he will miss a little bit of time. But I mean, a little bit of time, he might miss, the next couple of months, if not the rest of the season for France. Maybe I know that some are looking at it as our unfortunate luck, or in some I saw in the league someone say we're cursed. I mean, I know I get that, the luck and the curse and everything else.
The injury he's got, is it definite, what's happened and how long he's going to be out yet, or is it still a little bit up in the air? How serious?
No, he's got this a shoulder injury is what they're reporting. It is a shoulder injury.
Yeah, I mean, they can be bad. It depends what type of. There's different types, obviously. Some shoulder injuries can be recurring. I just hope it's nothing like that. But he's still a really young man. We'll have lots of, energy for recovery and stuff. I'm sure he'll be fine in the long run.
We dealt with shoulder injuries like that when it came to, the collarbone injuries, basically, which was the injury that we saw Tsimikas and Robbo get. I mean, it is a freak injury, considering that it is, football. You don't really deal with too many shoulder injuries, leg injuries and the likes. That's a different story, but shoulder injuries not too often. But at the same time, you could see it as maybe it's not necessarily our curse. Maybe it's just bad luck also for Ron's.
Yeah.
They're making a push. They're making a push for top four, or trying to get into the Champions League. This player is an important player for their team, enough so that they wanted to keep him so that they could try to get to that Champions League spot. He wanted to honor it, and guess what? He stayed there and he got hurt.
So. Yeah, I am pleased with the ongoing French connection anyway, because even if Ebu doesn't resign, we've got Hugo. To help Jeremy acclimatise.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's always been a good one. As long as you get the best French players, hopefully, it's always been a good one since Houllier came, when we started getting French players, or African players, from France and that. And it's a great market, like, when you get it right.
When you get it right, yeah.
Really good buys.
Yeah. It could be good. It could be a good buy. You don't have to necessarily pay too excessively, unless it's like a Kylian Mbappe or something like that, obviously, or a Pogba. That's a little different story. But when it comes to French players, at least. But I was just gonna highlight that, the young man will have to recuperate. We weren't going to see him till next season anyway. The injury is not going to be something that's going to keep him out of, featuring at Liverpool. So it's unfortunate, but the best I can say is we wish you a speedy return, and also not only a speedy return, but a painless one. If as painless as possible as it can be to get back to the state that you need to be in. But shout out to Bonkers, shout out to Lee Wiskit, shout out to Trudon joining us. Shout out to anyone that is joining us currently in the live stream on X, on YouTube, or if you are on the replay, shout out to you, because this is one of those episodes you could replay, certainly. Because we're going to get into some things that I think kind of might rub some people the wrong way with the nominees or the players that certainly get chosen. And I also will say, it goes as far as to say it might rub some people the wrong way, because it is a place where we need to go and get. All our rivals won today. Yes, they did. Brentford are level on points with us as well. Yes, they are. Just kind of wild. Let me see. Hold on. Let me get my. Let me get my table up here just to go before we get really into the episode here. All right. Newcastle lost to Brentford. Villa drew with Bournemouth. That was surprising. They're up 1-0 that game. Arsenal absolutely destroyed Sunderland 3-0. West Ham got an important win over Burnley. Everton beat Fulham 2-1 at Fulham. I just don't know what is up with Fulham. And Chelsea won 3-1 against Wolves.
Yeah, Fulham are like that. It's patches with Fulham throughout the season. Like, they'll have purple patches, and then they go on a bad run. But I was holding out. I had a slither of hope maybe that Spurs could get a draw. I knew there was no way they'd win.
Not even remotely close.
Put up enough resistance for a draw, but they never even got near it, did
they?
Yeah,
they looked poor in this game. Not only that, another red card. I think it's on like 7 or 8 red cards or something like that for Spurs.
Didn't West Ham get a card early? Wolves. Wolves against Chelsea. They went down to 10 men early. Did the Wolves?
I could check on that for you. I just know I was just talking about Romero, but let me see. No, Wolves were full strength.
Okay.
The only red card today was Manchester United Tottenham game. But Leeds 3-1 over Forest, and like we said, Manchester United 2, Tottenham 0.
Good win for Leeds. We've got big soon enough, haven't we? We've got to go there soon enough. Got to get a result. We've got to get results now, mate. I mean, United don't look like they're letting up at the moment. They're really riding this new manager bounce thing with Carrigan.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we have to keep pace now. We're at 39 points. Chelsea at 43, Man U at 44. Closing in.
Don't want to see us on 40 points, so even worse, still 39 after tomorrow, mate.
Yeah.
Got to get back up to 42 points, really, haven't we, to keep on their tails?
Yeah, it'd be tough because, like, they're 9 points ahead of Arsenal, are 9 points clear at the top of the table. We don't play Leeds again, by the way. I think you said we'd go to Leeds.
The only other thing from our point of view is that an extra place could become available from Villa dropping off, which
It
doesn't
could
look
be.
likely at
It
the
could be.
moment.
Villa's acting weird, man.
But they've got a weaker squad than United or Chelsea. United and Chelsea have got more options. If Villa were to lose a few more important players, maybe for a few
Right.
months, they might drop more and more points and be catchable. But for now, it's fourth and fifth we're looking at, isn't it?
Yep. Trudon thinks United will finish third. I don't think United are that strong. They're going through their purple patch. This is my opinion, at least. They're going through their purple
They've
patch.
impressed me. I don't mind saying that. Especially the back-to-back wins over City and Arsenal. I was very impressed that they managed to do that back-to-back. They're going great guns.
Yeah. What I was just going to say is, though, we don't play. I think you said we play Leeds again. We don't play Leeds. We already played Leeds twice.
No, we're done with them.
All right, people. We've got some heads in the chat, so we can start this off properly. Because I'd love to hear your opinions on this. You know what, though? I do have an image I can share as well. Let me get the image up here. Excuse me. Let's see if I can find the image. So, I do have an image. It is for what we were talking about. Basically, we've been talking about the club. All right, let me get the back history for this. Liverpool versus Manchester City, two clubs, two eras. Two philosophies, if you want to call it that didn't just compete. They certainly, I believe, helped reshape not only the image, but a new birth of an era in English football, in my opinion. Manchester United kind of faded out. Chelsea has certainly lingered on, but they are certainly more of afterthoughts than when it comes to the hierarchy that is Liverpool, Manchester United, and now even Arsenal have now been approaching that conversation as well. But tonight we're going to build an all-time Liverpool, Man City, Premier League combined 11. I make that more than blatant, because I know in the club's version of it, they said a all-time combined 11, and their all-time combined 11 wasn't that at all, actually. Here it is. I have it. Sorry about that. All right. This was, for instance, their combined 11, because I'm going to speak on this, is that this is about kind of setting the stakes right, because I don't know if you saw the show or not out there. Big up Jimmy, by the way. But on this show, they had these four gentlemen. This was their combined 11, by the way.
I don't know them. I know that one who's like 3 down. I've seen his face before.
Yeah, that's Rory Jennings is that guy. Rory Jennings is Chelsea. He is the third guy down on the list there, or second, depending on how you're looking at it. The second up from the list, if you want to look at it that way. Booby is the guy on the bottom of the list, appropriately so. And the guy that is wearing the pink LA hat, he is a Spurs fan. James is an Arsenal fan, right? He used to be on AFT. Lav, okay,
so
thank
it's
you.
Arsenal. Arsenal fella at the top, the one in the
Yes.
second one. Who's the second one with pink cap?
Yeah, James is the
Spurs.
Arsenal fan, Trudon's saying. And Spurs fan, who is the second from the top or third from the bottom.
Yeah.
He is the Spurs fan. He does a lot of different crossover content with a lot of different content creators, but he's a Spurs fan. What I thought was going to be important is that they brought up this combined 11, and in their combined 11, some of them are good choices. I agree with some of their choices, but not all of them. And I'm going to also even try to make some arguments for some that probably are going to get a lot of flack from not only people in the comments, probably most likely rivals and neutrals certainly, but also it's going to maybe even rustle some feathers here amongst us as Liverpool fans as well. So they brought out this whole list, and they were going to have Rory, the Chelsea fan, represent Liverpool's perspective because Boovy is a Manchester City super fan. Okay, he is a out and outright.
Boovy. I thought he said booby.
No, he can be a booby, but his name is Boovy.
Oh
B-U-V-Y.
yeah, he was the one that got on my nerves with his waffle. Like he was guilty of talking some ludicrous balderdash
Exactly.
about
Okay, so you
certain
feel me
players.
on that. All right, we're gonna get into that definitely. So these four gentlemen were talking about Liverpool and combined 11 with Manchester City, and they had Rory as our rep, and Boovy was giving his Manchester City opinion, obviously his biased Manchester City opinion, and then you had the Arsenal and Spurs fan rounding it out for whatever reason, right? And why I thought it was interesting is because there were some selections that didn't necessarily vibe with me. And there were some takes that were just absolutely wild by Rory and by Boovy alone. Okay. Even James, the Arsenal fan, took some swipes. But this is I know they classified it as all-time 11, combined 11. They didn't properly title it, by the way, because they should have titled it Premier League.
Yeah,
League
the thing
combined
that
11.
puzzled me there was one of them mentioned Bruce Grobbelaar quite early when they were talking about goalies. And Brucey's career for us was in Division One. Yes, he played in the Premier League for a couple of seasons for us, but his career really was in Division One. So I don't even know why he mentioned Grobbelaar. That didn't make sense to me. That bit. But I took it then from that point on that they were only going to go for players relatively recently. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And that's why I felt like it was a weird conversation that they're having, because it was like there was no true center, like they would talk about trophies for one thing, but then when they would talk about, oh well, trophies matter, like as in trophies really justify this or that, but then for some players it didn't matter, like Steven Gerrard, love him, but he doesn't have nearly the number of trophies or Premier League titles as any of these players. He obviously doesn't have any.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
why
not the
does it matter?
only metric, is it? It's not the only metric you use. Yes, it's a good guideline to see what players have won, and a lot of the time the best ones are very, very successful, but it's
Yeah.
not always the case, is it?
I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be. I think it should be a factor or a component of your conversation, but I don't think it has to. It shouldn't. I've seen people think that they dropped the mic by saying, "Oh well, they won 2 titles, or they won this, or they won that." And I'm like, you're talking about team accomplishments, not individual accomplishments, and we're talking about an individual player and his worth and value and and the likes. So like you can't base it solely on that. But I was just going to go through their selections with you guys. So I was going to go and just kind of do their selections versus what I would select and what Lee would select. And you can tell us what you would go with too. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, definitely leave your combined 11 for us in the comment section. I'd love to see what you guys think, where we got it right, where we got it wrong, or what you think is the appropriate 11. But there were some selections that were kind of crazy. I think it's only appropriate that we start with the goalkeeper. And I think that you can make an argument, that Ederson could be considered in this case. You can make an argument for it. I don't think there's anyone else though that would qualify to range in that. I mean, like when everything breaks down, when the press is beaten, stress, structure collapses and chaos takes over, the player that normally holds us down is Ali, period. So
City had Schmeichel, but it wasn't peak Schmeichel.
It wasn't peak Schmeichel.
No. The City Schmeichel wasn't the peak Schmeichel.
And then who was their goalkeeper before Ederson?
There's a couple of
he was the English goalkeeper too.
Joe Hart and Willie Caballero as well. You're closer to Mexico than me. Is it true that Caballero means cowboy in Spanish? So he'd be Willie Cowboy, Willie Caballero. I believe Caballero means cowboy.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Unless I've heard it wrong.
Possibly. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I guess like who would you have had in this case? Would you have gone Ali or would you have gone Ederson?
No, Ederson's a good goalie. Like, you know what I mean? You could see that like when he first arrived and he made a big difference to them. But he's not up to Ali's level. Ederson's top level is not as good as Ali's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just saying that because he's our keeper, and they all said it as well, didn't they? I think all four of them went for Alisson.
I think, you know what, for me and why I think it's Ali is like, and they picked Ali too, by the way. And I think even the Manchester City supporter there picked Ali in this one. But when you break it down, I think that Ederson relies on the system to benefit him more so than Ali does. Like, I think I say that because I think Ali has rescued us from flawed performances, rather than just being Ederson, who is just, a part of the group holding it down as a collective, like as in the control and the amount of like different tactics that they use in their tiki-taka style, gives Ederson a little bit more room to breathe than the somewhat, at least the hectic styles of the Gegenpress, where we would see, Ali have to really hold our heads up against some of the counters that we had to face. So I just think that I think Ali's just not. I don't think Ali's just the best keeper of the Pep Klopp era. I think he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League era. Period.
Yeah, he's our best one that I've seen since like I didn't really see Ray Clements. He was just finished. I was just like a little boy then, like. But
the closest thing I thought was Pepe Reina.
Yeah.
But I don't think Pepe Reina is as talented as Ali, to be honest with you.
No. Ali is better than Reina, as good as Reina was. Because we had a few goalies before we got Reina, hadn't we? Like through the Julia years, started off in Westerveld, then we would do that in Kirkland. Then it was whether it was next, like, but we had a lot of goalies. Yeah, Alisson is the best one. Yeah, the only other one that comes close to him for Liverpool is Clements, and that is so long ago. It was before my time.
There's your answer, I guess. Lee Whiskid looked it up. By the way, Cowboy is Vaquero. Vaquero.
Ah.
Just so you know. Caballero is knight. Knight in shining armor. All right. This is where it's going to start to get interesting. So they put out there that it was the right back was Kyle Walker. Now, I know there are those of you out there that don't want to hear the individual name that I'm going to offer up. I know that there's going to be those people out there that also are going to talk about the player's defense and the likes and blah, 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 blah. However, has Kyle Walker ever been called generational? Has Kyle Walker ever been, I'm asking the question, has Kyle Walker ever been called generational?
Probably not, but in that respect, he is a very different type of football. Trent was so different to all the other, to most of the there weren't many like Trent, or hasn't been many like Trent. So you can see why it was like said of him, like the way he went about his game, like as a fullback. But Walker was tremendous for me. The first,
and I'm not trying not to cut you off. I was just going to say real quick. I am not trying to diminish that Kyle Walker is a incredible talent.
Well, for me, the Liverpool shirt that I'm throwing in against Walker as a shout is Alvaro Arbeloa. Now, we didn't have him that long. It was a couple of seasons before Real Madrid.
That's a shout. That's a shout.
Arbeloa was brilliant, mate. He could play centre back and left back as well. He was come from the ball to score. You know what I mean? And he was just a consummate defender, mate. He was top notch. Alvaro Arbeloa as a right back. So he was the one of ours I was thinking in the Premier League era to rival Walker. Again, they were different as right backs. Walker and Arbeloa, both brilliant defenders, though. But the games were a bit different. But Arbeloa was great for me. Finnan at the time was good, but in a slightly different way.
I'll put that down as your shout. That's a good shout, actually. Very good shout.
Tremendous.
If you wanted to do a like for like, I guess you could say those two you could justify rating those two together. I just don't think it's exactly what Lee Whiskey is saying. I don't think that Walker's game and Trent's game were fundamentally different. And I just think that Walker couldn't, I guess I'm not saying that Trent was some incredible right back defensively. However, I don't think that you couldn't get the level of offense out of Walker to the level of what Trent offered, but I do think that you can get some resemblance, not the level of Walker, but at least some resemblance of defense out of Trent to say that he was that you could actually say, okay, he's not necessarily a negative when it comes to holding it down on the right side. Lee Whiskid is saying, how about this? Do you think Lee Whiskid? Oh, Trudon says it too. Look at this. What would you say about that?
He was brilliant. Such a great signing from Fulham. I think it was like 5 million or some shit.
Was he better? Was he better than Kyle Walker?
Possibly. I am a big fan, or I've been a big fan, was a big fan of Kyle Walker as a player, his abilities, and that. Because he was really solid defensively, and I do tend to prefer that in fullbacks. That's my a particular bias. When I'm picking a team, I look for like a really good defensive right back rather than looking for the more adventurous attacking ones. But yeah, he was a tremendous player. I mean, I was annoyed for Trent that he couldn't get on the England scene, because even when Walker weren't there, he weren't getting bloody plays. You know what I mean? It'd be somebody else. But that's gone now anyway. Like, Trent's moved on. But yeah, in that Klopp team, yeah, he was brilliant. Like, it's taking Trent out of that Klopp team, isn't it? And see what happens then.
But Trudon is saying Kyle Walker is probably the best right back in Premier League history over Gary Neville. Wow. Okay. I just think that like the right back and left back positions in football has dramatically changed
Definitely, yeah.
from the era of like your Nevilles. So like, I think when you refer to the position, you're thinking, oh well, yes, you classified as a defensive role, or you think of like players that are going to be shut down players that aren't going to be looked to give offense. But I just think that Trent Alexander-Arnold, like, not only was a right back, but he like redefined a lot of the characteristics of a right back, I think.
I tell you, for City, Zabaleta, he was decent right back in when he was at his best. Yeah. I'm not saying put him in, and I'm just giving him a shout as a different City right back, because we haven't talked about many of their other right backs.
Yeah, not even close, I don't think. I just think, and I think that when people talk about the defense, I get that, but there were known trade-offs. Like, as in, I think Klopp understood the fact that, he rather see Trent provide offense rather than have to worry about him, focusing on his defense. There was more of a payoff using Trent the way we did than trying to have him be, because I mean, look, you could make an argument to say Nathaniel Klein was a better quote unquote defensive right back, right? Maybe. No.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Comparing them with others, and it's predictable when people go down that route of saying, oh, he just wasn't good enough defensively. He was in that Klopp team, he suited that Klopp team. But yeah, when they were picking between him and Walker, like, I can't remember if any of them picked Trent. It ends up being Walker,
I think. Go. No, I was going to say real quick. I think while Walker is elite, don't get it twisted. I think Walker is elite. Why he falls short for me is Walker. I just think Walker never changed football. Walker never, like, as in, there's a player that you could argue helped like bring in or not only redefine, but certainly usher in a real era of offensive-minded, sometimes utilize them inverted, or being the court, like, as in, not too often do you find a right back basically be the maestro of your offense. Like, he was the orchestrator of our offense. And I don't think any manager, this is just my opinion, but I don't think any manager in football looked at a pitch and said, I'm gonna rebuild our attacking system around Kyle Walker. Or I don't even think that any real manager out there said, you know what, we've got a game plan around Kyle Walker.
Yeah. He's the safe option, or the boring option, if you want to put it that way. But like, you look at the way the rest of the team is constructed, like, you've got Rodri in there. Would Trent prosper in a team with Rodri just in front of him? I don't know. Possibly.
I mean, like, if you're gonna have a Rodri, I think you could. I think certainly if you're gonna have it, this is where it's gonna get interesting. All right, so let's just move to the center backs then. All right. Let's move to center backs. My pick for right back is Trent Alexander-Arnold over Kyle Walker. You can have Kyle Walker if you like, or you can Arbeloa could be it could be your choice as well. That's a good shout, by the way, by Lee. Lee and I haven't consulted on our picks, so they're all going to be surprises to each of us as we announce them. But let's move to right center back. Vincent Kompany was named on this list, and I tentatively agree. Vincent Kompany was injured quite a bit. He had a massive injury record, right? Yet that didn't affect them picking him in this role. And why I could maybe give an argument for this next player is the same reason why I said if injuries don't necessarily have negatives to account for them to pick Vincent Kompany, why couldn't I offer up Joel Matip?
He never got a mention, did he?
Not even a mention.
No, which I found strange. Between the four of them, not one of them mentioned them as being even like a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I know it's going to be. I know it's center backs are hard. Pairings are easier, and I agree. Their center back pairings would be easier because if you can try to figure out who's going to work well with each other. I don't know if Kompany and Roger Van Dijk work well with each other, to be honest with you. I just honestly don't know if they work well with each other. And you can't really put John Stones in here because he's playing in the role that Roger Van Dijk does, right?
Mm.
So you can't pick him over. You're certainly not picking Stones. Would be a shout. Trust me. I would if you move Virgil to the right side, maybe okay. Then I would put Stones and Virgil in as my right back choice or my center half choices.
Yeah, I can see that Boothie's a massive Stones fan. He kept going on about him, didn't he? He's won 6 titles.
Yeah,
Van Dijk only won 2, some shit like. But it is.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous conversation. Some of the logic that they used in it.
Yeah, well, that was the main thing they were arguing. Like for the left hand side, which could we have Stones? But when it was the Kompany side, they just said Kompany and never offered up any other names that I can remember. And
Nope.
Joel Matip would certainly have been one of them for me.
Yep. Yeah, I guess Lee Whiskey's bias is certainly showing. It's a Liverpool show, so drop your biases all you like. You're not going to be hated on at all. Williams and Phillips. Yeah, there you go. Might as well put Kabak and Phillips in there. How about that? But yeah. Trudon is saying, Kompany is definitely in there. Okay. All right. I don't know. I actually think that Matip is a better defender, a better defender, if not better player than Kompany is, to be honest with you.
I did really like Kompany.
Kompany is a good player. I'm not saying
it is a good. But when you look at it as a partnership and you think about its potential, and how they would play together, it does look really strong as a partnership. That done it them. So
Lovren and Clap. Yeah.
Lowlands.
I'm going to read out all the greats. All the greats
in the Netherlands.
You might as well put Davies in there. But no, I am not saying all these players that we mentioned, every last one of them is an elite player. Absolutely elite players. I don't know about Williams and Phillips and Lovren and the likes, but I'm talking about the players that we're seriously considering. They're all elite players. No disrespect to any of the players. If anything, I would put more respect on their names than some of the panel did in that show. But I don't. There was an argument, and this is why I make this argument too. Lee, do you remember there was an argument out there that some were saying at a certain point at least, Matip was actually a better play. It was playing better, or if not, was considered to be the better player out of the two, and that's with Virgil van Dijk.
At times it was remarked, yeah, that he'd been the better, he's had the better day or whatever. And certainly before before his career ended abruptly. Remember, he was man of the match against Spurs, and he had the own goal came off him. But no, it wasn't just that match; it was the beginning of that season. It had been noted by a lot of fans, or at least said, that he was playing better than Virgil at the beginning of that season. But there you go.
Yeah, Hipia should be a shout too. Hipia could be a shout. Don't you agree?
Well,
Hipia. He could be a
surprised he never mentions. I mean, that left-hand side, yeah. None of them are Liverpool fans. Their memories didn't go back very far. When they were talking about right backs, they went, they tried to think one apart from Trent, and they went, Robert Jones, yeah. We can't have Rob Jones. And one of them said that they'd rather have Carragher than who was it? Trent. One of them didn't like Trent, said he'd rather have Carragher at right back than Trent, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. I just think that Matip, between 2019 and 2022, Matip was arguably one of our best players, and most minus the injuries, obviously. And the reason why I say minus the injuries, because we're also talking about Vincent Kompany, who has plenty of injuries himself. So if injuries don't impact the reasoning or the rulings or the likes, then I don't see why.
Yeah, you put that shit aside, don't you? Like, and think, like, as long as they had enough play, like you to be at full pelt sometimes, and we did see Matip for extended periods, sometimes at full pelt, and it was my favourite partnership with Virgil. Yes, Joe's good. Ibu's been all right, but for me, I like the Matip Virgil partnership. I thought they complemented each other well.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Swimmingly, we looked tight at the back when them two first linked up, like, and in Klopp's early reign, like when we first bought Virgil.
If you're gonna go pairings, I know no one put the pairings in there, but I would have gone if you had to go like pairings. Let's say you had to go pairings. And that meant that you had to go, two Manchester City halfbacks or center halves, with versus two Liverpool center halves. I would actually go Joe Gomez and Virgil. I think was possibly our best center half pairing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Gomez offers defense, but he also offers the ability to, carry the ball forward. He offered tremendous range for his passing. I think it was exceptional. Now, not to the level of Virgil, maybe, but it was definitely very, very compatible. I think that's just my opinion. So, I guess you could tell me how you want to do it. Do you want to do? They did it individually. Do you want to do it as a pairing, or do you want to do it as individually? I guess we could just do it like they did it, which was individually. All right. Well, then let's move to this. Gomez VVD, like I said, flattered your thought. It was norm though. Must have made sense. I guess. You gotta fill me on what you're saying, Lee. Lee Wiskett, please. VVD is a non-brainer. That's just a non-brainer, I think where the panel went wrong is they started talking about the Maldini backlash. When they were talking about like why VVD possibly should be, surpassed by Stones and other candidates that they were trying to put out. I don't think when it comes to Maldini, I think that I don't think saying VVD is an elite center half in the likes of a Maldini I don't think that's disrespectful at all. If anything, it puts Maldini in a fantastic case, saying that player can play in this era of football. Not many players. I think that not many players can play in different eras of football. I think VVD is one of the few players I think you could put in any era and he would thrive as a player. So, all right. Well, let's move. They went with the left back, which was a pretty easy call. They all went with Robbo. Now, for Robbo, generational talent, I guess you could say, in the sense of he was a player that battled through a lot of naysayers. He became certainly someone that took on the system as best he could and made it his own. Maybe generational might be a little bit far to go, but I can't think of a right back. I can't even think of a Manchester City right back that would contend with this position.
I can't. It's hard. And I'm thinking of a left back to play there instead of Robbo. And they've had loads. They've had some all right ones, but nothing that would trouble Robbo from getting the shirt, to be honest. Yeah. They've had that many. But yeah, Robbo's safe and secure in that one, isn't he? There's no doubt about that.
All right. So far, out of the 5, I'll bring up the list again here.
Rock solid defense, isn't it?
It is a rock solid defense.
Company, Van Dijk, Walker, and Robertson. That is one tight defense. That is, mate.
I would say. Oh, I don't know if I said Norm. That was my mistake. I wasn't referencing Norm. Maybe I'll say Norm as in like the normal. But let's go with DM, defensive midfielder. And it's Rodri versus the field, obviously. There's a lot of talk about, obviously, Ballon d'Or. We get that. But could you make an argument about Fabinho? Could Fab make this list over Fabinho or over Rodri, or is that the lighthouse? Exactly.
Yeah.
He made a comment about that.
A little bit of a different type of day. I mean, Mascherano would have to have a shout for me if it's Premier League years. If Gerrard's there, Mascherano wasn't played with them. Do you know what I mean? They mentioned Fernandinho, didn't they? And he was brilliant, Fernandinho. I loved him. But Rodri, as much as I don't like the way he conducts himself on the pitch, he is one hell of a player, isn't he, Rodri?
Mm-hmm. I know, Dustin, call me out. Let the pot simmer here a little bit. We're not to the center forward yet. There's a lot of conversation we're gonna have about the center forward. 1 or 2 positions we're gonna go definitely pretty in depth with. But these are the picks of the club. These are their picks, by the way. They're not my picks. These are all their picks. I just showed a picture. The picture here shows the 4 panelists on the club that were making. It's kind of funny that Booby's making that face right there because it looks that's kind of like the face I envision him having all the time. But these 4 individuals chose this as their starting 11, their combined 11, not mine.
Yeah, I was thinking about Mascherano and Fabinho as well. But
okay,
you can't
so you're with
argue
me on that. That's where I was going with this. Fabinho, Mascherano, Fernandinho, even.
Fernandinho, yeah. I mean, them 3 were all brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah.
Then Rodri's just that little bit something different, isn't he, in that role?
Who would you go with in that role for you?
I probably will go with Rodri, to be honest, yeah, in all fairness.
Mm-hmm.
When he first come in and first took off with him in the team, it was great. I mean, is he fit now? Is he ready to play us?
He's technically fit, but he's not. But he's not playing as such. he's technically fit, as in he's played in games, but he's also looked pretty like off the pace for the games that he's played in.
Yeah.
Midfield then. I'll go with Rodri as my DM. I'll go.
I forgot about Dietmar.
I really wanted to go with Mascherano, to be honest with you, but
also give Dietmar Hamann a noble shout there, like as a DM, because he was good for us in the Premier League era when he first
not
came
after
in.
his comments. Not after his comments.
I don't hear them. I never gets to my ears what Hamann said. I know he annoyed Klopp a few times, but I don't think I even found out what he said that annoyed Klopp. But anyway, I liked Dizzy as a player. He sounds, and he was a good DM.
I'm kidding. He said, I think the wildest comment he said as of late was that he said, Florian Wirtz, don't be surprised if he goes out on loan in January. That was the beginning of the year.
Oh, come on. He's having a laugh there. He's only having a laugh.
What are you talking about, man?
You took that seriously, mate. God help you.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. All right. Let's move to the midfield. I think the midfield is possibly the two easiest picks in this scenario. I think they're the two easiest picks in the scenario. I think it has to be obviously Stevie G and KDB. It has to be. No chance of Naby. No chance of Naby.
Yeah, in this formation as well, like this 3-man midfield in that formation like that, it looks brilliant, doesn't it? You have got to say it looks great. That.
Yeah, this is just the Prem, by the way. They announced it as being all time, and like that's the one, and that is something of a correction that I think people need to be weary of, not weary, but be mindful of, and that is that sometimes people will make statements like, "Oh, this is the all-time 11 for this," or "This is the best player period of this or that." You got to say of what era, because football didn't start in 1992 in England. There's football long before that, but we're just referencing the Premier League era to make it easy with the now, what is this, 30 years of Premier League football, over 30 years of Premier League football.
Yeah, I think this is the 34th season.
Yeah. So definitely era-esque. Trudon is saying that it should be Stevie G and David Silva.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout. Actually, I love De Bruyne, but I also love David Silva. I'll probably stick with De Bruyne, but it's a really good shout.
It's a great shout.
So good. I mean, he could play wide as well if we wanted in that, but you'd have to omit Mo or Mane to do that.
There were certain players. There were some players that despite the fact that he played on a different team, I still appreciated the player.
Even when it's a player that that your club tried to get and you didn't, you can't help but love them still when playing for another club when they're that good, can you?
Yeah. Wirtz isn't going to be on my list for this. He's still got some work to do. I mean, he's only played 6 months in the Premier League. You're talking about Premier League era, not necessarily player per se in the sense of, he's just
he's just a player. De Bruyne was years in I was going to say the best team in the land in terms of what he had around him, and he was here for a long time when he doing that. I can't remember how many years he was in their first team, but it was a lot, wasn't it? So you can't really bring Wirtz into it, can you, at this point in time?
No,
but
not yet.
Yeah, in the future.
Not yet. Give him like 5 years, and we can revisit the story. But Milner is a shout, surely. Who else? Who else? I think you know who gets overlooked as well, and I think he could be a shout, but I mean he's not necessarily. I wouldn't put him over. I wouldn't put him over KDB, and I wouldn't put him over Steven Gerrard. But um, I think though you want to possibly give an honorable mention. I would say Coutinho should be a shout. I know
Yeah,
people don't like using that name because of what it's associated with the club, but I think Coutinho was a fantastic player. If you're bringing up David Silva, I think you should bring up Coutinho as well. That's my point.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he deserves a mention in that company. He was genius, wasn't he? Like with us when pear-shaped for him, like at Barca. I was never angry at him though, because I knew it was like world record, ridiculous amount of money or something like, and that he'd go. So I wasn't that bothered. And what we did with the money obviously won us the league. Then it
Yeah,
was
exactly.
wrong, didn't it, with Van Dijk and Alisson? So
Yeah.
like, I was like, it didn't diminish his standing in my eyes. It was just like, all right, they wanted him 145 million.
Yeah.
Okay,
Some
let's
people
move
I
on.
don't think properly appreciate some of the like Coutinho at his peak, he was arguably the best, one of the, if not the best player in the league. You could honestly say that, I think.
I remember when he first come in and he was still like tiny. He looked about like 14 on the pitch, like, but he come
Yeah,
in and one of his first games, he
yeah.
did this boss run and
But he
pass for
was
assist for somebody. I can't remember who it was he assisted, but it was a lovely run and pass where he
that's the
took on a
thing.
couple of people and then just laid it in and was like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah, he's a boss player. Like he was not only good at dribbling, he was not only good at passing, but he was good at free kicks, set pieces and the likes.
he become
Um,
good at them. He wasn't at first, but he learned. He said Suarez helped him do better free kicks because he was only he's obviously a little fella and he was much more slighter than Suarez even.
mm,
But then he learned how to get the power in his free kicks, mate, and he was deadly, wasn't he? We got
mhm.
loads of joy out of them, didn't we? Like once he learned how to hit the ball, probably from a free kick.
I'm gonna also give out a name uh that will show some of my non-bias. How about that? Okay. You could argue that Yaya Toure should possibly get a shout.
Mm, Forgot about yeah. Then how could they do that?
Yaya was a boss.
When you think of the players that aren't in this team, Fernandinho, Yaya Toure, Javier Mascherano, Fabinho,
Yep.
um,
You could have a hell of
Coutinho,
a bench.
Torres.
Yeah, you could have a hell of a bench for sure.
Yeah, I do. I have to say, I do like their choices. Apart from not liking Rodri because he's a tit as a man on the pitch, the way he conducts himself. I loved
Yeah.
all the other. I love him as a player, and I love all them other City players for what they were and how they went about it, and that they were good players to watch. All of them, like all great in their positions.
Mhm. Yeah, I you could say, I think Yaya is a good shout. I mean,
Mm.
again, I don't put him over KDB. I don't put him in. I don't put him over Stevie G. But I think that again, David Silva, Yaya Torre, Coutinho are all solid shouts to be on this list. Solid shouts. You can make arguments at least. You can make some arguments. And that's what we're here for, is to have a healthy debate. Healthy debate. Let's see. Let's move then. Let's move. We're at the hour mark, so let's move to the front line. And that is easily Mane on the left. I think that there's no, or some might try to argue Raheem Sterling. I guess, right?
He was the only City one they mentioned for that position, wasn't it? And apart from that, apart from Mane,
Sane, maybe Leroy
yeah,
Sane.
they mentioned Steve McManaman. They mentioned Albert Riera and started laughing, and he played for both clubs. They noted, but
Right.
that was all they mentioned. And they just went, "Yeah, Mane," and
Would
that
Steve
was it.
McManaman make? Would he make this list? Do you think? Would he make it as a as the left wing at least?
For
Because
me, I'd have him where De Bruyne is if he was in the team. He'd be that creative, attacking,
I mean,
whatever.
like then would you even? I guess would you put Barnes in this list too? Then maybe. No?
In this shape team, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose John could prosper in this shape team in Salah's position.
Okay. Bonkers is saying Mahrez. Trudon's saying Sterling City version. I mean, who else?
Yeah.
I think Mane is a unanimous ballot entry into the left wing. But is there anyone else that you'd offer?
Well, as I said, they only threw Sterling in, but Mahrez as well. Leroy Sane was quite good when he first arrived in that position for them. But Mane is the top man, for
I
that
think
position.
Mane.
In recent living, we're going with this shape and that this currently like the way football is now. So they've fitted in players who fit that shape, haven't they? As much as they can, like.
Yeah. All right. Well, then first, we're all in agreement on Mane. I think we are. Then, because I mean, Mane, big game monster, tactically flexible, could play different roles, could play right, could play central, could play left. Absolutely, boss performer when he came when you needed it in the clutch. All right. I know that there are going to be people out there to say Mahrez for right wing, right? Or maybe even Bernardo Silva as the right wing. Bernardo does not get in. I would not put that rat in any combined 11. But anyway,
Put him in my mind. Oh, that's done me head in. Now he's in my mind. That horrible little face of his.
yeah, exactly. You got to give it to Salah. I think Salah has to be. Can we all be in agreement? I'm looking for the chat to see if they bring up. They've been bringing up good. By the way, the chat's been on point. They've been bringing up some very good names as alternatives or players that should at least get mentions or shouts. I just think you got to have Salah on that right wing. I think he's arguably the greatest right wing of the Premier League era. You disagree or you agree?
No, there's nobody in the city I can think of in recent City history who's been good on the right wing, coming in on the left foot. Nah, Mahrez is the one, and he was good. The other ones they tried haven't been that good, have they? City's ones.
Okay. All right, let's go to this. This is going to be, has to be Mo, says Jimmy. I got you. Certainly Salah, Mane. Lee Wiskett says Salah, Mane. I'm going to move to the central forward position. And this is probably going to be the position that we speak the most on, simply because there are a plethora of choices you could put into this category as nominees. But I think this is sometimes the most misunderstood position in modern football because there's so many different versions of the position that are out there. For so many years, we're trained to answer one question when it comes to talking about strikers, and that's how many goals did they score? But there's more than just goal scoring when it comes to striking or striker position or the center forward position. So I'm not going to say, oh, we're just going to go with whoever scored the most goals. Boom, that's the person that should get the center forward role for us. Because some players had to perform other duties as a center forward. I think you guys are all bringing up great names. I'm going to be honest. There were two players that my mind automatically put as candidates. Okay. Ekitike is not there just yet. But there are two players. Shout out to Daniel Sturridge, by the way. But he was not one of them. So I just want to make a shout out to Daniel. But and there was even a player that my mind went to, even though I don't like the player personally. Okay. I'll admit that. I'll make my core argument, I guess. Because I know I'll give you my candidates, and then we can break down who your candidates are. Okay. Trudon is saying Michael Owen. That's a good shout, by the way. That's a good shout. I thought initially thought of Torres. Now I know people have varying opinions on El Nino. I am speaking, I know, from a little bit of bias, as in El Nino is one of my favorite players to have watched in a Liverpool kit.
Yeah, same here. The peak Torres before his injuries was insane, wasn't he?
Insane. Like I think the majority of the people in the chat have seen Torres play, but I mean, and maybe even live, but Torres was different gravy. He was like different sauce.
Yeah.
Completely different. Like I know people are making the Ekitike references. They were talking about this, about that. Oh my goodness, he was.
Bruyne around Gerrard, providing him with the bullets, like that'd be devastating. But this one with Agüero, I loved Agüero. Such a brilliant little forward, like like everything about him was just goals, wasn't it? Like
just goals, pace. It was like, like yeah, everything about him was just absolutely like captivating.
Yeah, you got a bit more height with Torres instead of Agüero, haven't you? Like, he was quite good in the air as well, Torres. Like, Agüero was only a little guy, and Firmino would be good in that, obviously, because he was so good with Salah Mana, but because Gerrard and De Bruyne,
man, don't steal my thunder.
Well, yeah, because Gerrard and De Bruyne used to score a lot of goals at their peak. So if they had somebody like Bobby at the tip of it, like, the way he did with that would be great. It would be great. I probably would go for Bobby, actually. Him or Torres I'd go for. One of ours.
As I said, Lee and I didn't consult on this. He's trying to steal some of my thunder, because I said that there was three. There's more than three names that I came up with immediately when I thought about this list. In at least the Liverpool perspective, and the Liverpool half of it, if I was representing Liverpool on this panel, at least. And that was Fowler, of course, is a shout. I don't think that many people recognize I just personally think that Torres was just absolutely like a phenom. Like before the knee injury, that guy was like pure gold. But you could go with Fowler on this shout. You could go. I didn't necessarily go with that, but I know that you could go with that. I went with, if you didn't go with Torres, I would have went with Bobby. That is my core argument. I would have went with Bobby. You could go with Suarez, considering I know Suarez had one of the greatest seasons of any forward in the history of the Premier League.
Let's be honest, that lineup doesn't need like a goal machine forward, does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't. That's why.
Goals are already there, aren't they?
That's why. Like, if anything, sometimes I see Agüero in that front line, and I'm wondering, would Agüero work with Mane and Salah? And I'm telling you, my honest opinion, why I think it's not this combined 11 that we're trying to bring out to make the best combined 11 players in a team. Personally, I believe you have to have a Bobby Firmino in a lineup with Mane and Salah for them to excel at the levels you want them to excel at. As Bonkers is calling it, I say too, he was the glue. He was the bridge that made the continent of Mane be able to communicate or play nice with the continent of Salah. Like, as in, they were absolutely incredible individuals, but Bobby made it all work. And not only did he make it work offensively, he also made it work defensively. He was arguably one of the best pressing forwards in Prem history. Bobby was a phenomenal presser when it came to initiating counters, initiating our attack. And I do know that saying Bobby Firmino isn't going to go well over in the general public, because most people don't look at Bobby the same way we do, I think. And I say we, meaning Liverpool Reds. I just think that they don't look at Bobby the same way. They don't give acknowledgement or appreciation for the false nine, the work that he did as a false nine for us. He had the ability to score. I heard people say, some of them try to put out there that he didn't have a finishing touch. I don't agree with that. I thought Bobby,
he's a brilliant goal scorer sometimes. Like, when the moment was right.
When the moment was right, he could put the ball through the back of the net.
And he had goals as well, couldn't he?
Yeah. He had dribbling. He had the dribbling, the finesse to be able to dribble the way he did. He had the incredible foresight to be an accurate, like an incredibly on-point passer. And that's the thing about it, is like, he was a great link man to facilitate the goals to Mane and Salah. My vote would have been for Agüero. Is a fantastic player. I'm not saying he's not elite, but I think that Bobby Firmino deserves to be in this combined 11, because the Red Arrows, I think, don't work to the level that the Red Arrows do without Bobby Firmino in that lineup. Agüero could do a lot of work and do a lot of different things with the lineup. I get that. He is definitely a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think
I love watching him work. Like, he was such a clever little finisher sometimes, Agüero.
Yeah.
Like Torres, he came here from Atletico Madrid, didn't he?
Right.
Remember, we came up against his Atletico Madrid under Rafa's last season when we were in the Europa League.
Mm-hmm. Can I say this and tell me how you feel about this, Lee? And tell me how you feel about this. Shout out. I just saw Norm join. Big up, Norm. I think why this 11 has to have Bobby is because it's not built around a single striker carrying the attack. That's the difference. It's built by interaction. It's built by, like, a concerted effort of the front three being a working unit together. And what I mean by that too is this: if you think about it, and this is just my perspective, I guess, okay, make sure I put that disclaimer out there. But if you think about it, when you think about Manchester City, and especially their wings, they're wingers, or I don't think they really had inside forwards. They had wingers, really. Okay, but if you look at it, their wingers weren't high-level scorers. Did they score goals? I'm not disputing that. But their wingers were primarily facilitators for their striker, Agüero or Balotelli, or it didn't matter who they had in that center forward position. That's who they were facilitating the ball to get their goals. But with Liverpool, we didn't facilitate to go central with our scoring prowess. We went to our wings for our scoring prowess. And I think that if you're going to utilize Mane and Salah for their ultimate capabilities, you have to have someone that's going to quote unquote sacrifice his own game, his own scoring, to make their opportunities better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm with having De Bruyne and Gerrard there in front of Rodri. They'll be making runs forward and scoring plenty of goals. So I would give Firmino the nod. As much as I loved Torres, I've got to mention Suarez, Fowler, Owen. You know what I mean? Piece of crap.
Exactly. The list is ridiculous. If you really think about
you've got to look at the blend, haven't you? Try and look at the blend. But Agüero, I can see why he went for him, pure goals. But yeah, I'd like Bobby in that. With them other players, I think the blend with them other players, you definitely get the best out of them then.
Yeah. That's why I would make that. I would make that argument, at least. That argument was not made by Rory. He did an absolutely, I think, abominable job for representing our. I'll make this an. I don't know if I have the. I try to take some notes with the actual commentary. I don't know if I have it on here. I don't think I do. But there was a moment, for instance, and tell me if you remember this moment, Lee, where Rory tried to argue that Virgil van Dijk is not even a Premier League great at center half.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. That, I wasn't sure where he was coming from there. He mentioned Rio Ferdinand and John Terry, didn't he, as being the legends that are above Virgil and were better defenders or some shit in his estimation. This was the Chelsea lad, wasn't it? I think Rory Jennings. But yeah, I didn't really know where he was coming from there, saying he's not like a legendary Premier League defender. If Virgil isn't, I don't know who is. Don't think there's ever been one, has there?
Yeah, do you remember the names he offered out? I think he said Phil Campbell. You remember the names?
That bit, I fast forward a bit of it, because I got a bit tired of it, when he started saying that. So I missed that bit. But yeah, well, we've had a good discussion. We've gone back to that position now, but we've had a good discussion, and we all agree, don't we? I personally loved all them City players, Rodri included. They were all such brilliant players. And there's loads of good players from both clubs, isn't there? There aren't in that. It's just that fits the current system, the most popular current system, or starting system we've seen of late.
I just would have had. What would have been if you want to give your 11? If you want to give your 11, then and also in the chat, my guy SBO, if you're gonna go into a chat, ingratiate yourself with the chat. Don't just come out throwing haymakers, trying to just hit anyone. That's in my opinion. There's plenty of forums you can congregate in. We're trying to in this forum. We try to do our best in being open to have neutrals and rivals join us in conversation. We welcome debate, but if you're going to say stupid stuff, then you can go someplace else with that. I mean, you're telling different. You don't. You're not even getting your facts correct. You're saying if Liverpool drew against Wolves, we didn't draw. As Norm is saying, we didn't even draw against Wolves. So I don't understand what you're on about. This is a debate about. We're having an interesting conversation about a combined 11.
No, we beat Wolves. Only just about like what we did, didn't
We
we?
beat them. We didn't. We
We
didn't
are
beat
looking forward to the game now, SBO. Looking forward to a real good game tomorrow. Usually need the points to stay in touch with Arsenal, and we badly need them to keep our Champions League hopes alive. So should be a good matchup.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let me just. Just tired of. I'm just not in the mood today, SBO. So what would have been your 11?
Well, Firmino will come in for me. The rest I'm all happy with. I told you about liking Arbeloa as a defensive right back
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Premier League, but the rest of it I can't argue with. Although, there were the shouts for all the good names like David Silva and Coutinho and players like that instead of De Bruyne. Saying, I think, like we all agree, Rodri does deserve to be in that. It's such a solid defence. I love that defence though. Like, it's rock solid that. So if you get your midfield action correct in front of it, mate, and then you've got that up front, it is a great team. But I was preferred Firmino for the blend with the midfielders than Agüero.
yeah. I was gonna say like what. So tell us what your players. Oh gosh, Bernardo Silva. Oh my gosh, Norm coming in hot. Um, what would have been uh what would have been your 11? I had basically this 11 is the 11 I had, except for I would have had Trent over Walker, and um I would have had Bobby over Agüero. I don't think there's much of an argument. I don't think there's really that much of an argument going elsewise, but for trying to factor in maybe Mahrez is a shout. David Silva is definitely a shout, but I just think that David Silva unfortunately comes up in a category that it's too like you're going into two of the greatest, regarded two players that are regarded as two of the greatest to play in the Premier League, period, in KDB and Stevie G. So he unfortunately loses out simply because of that. And he's not a DM. So he would certainly be second, if not third. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm hoping if you're a Manchester City fan, I'm hoping you think that your team will win. I mean, I would hope that you would think that. I'm just saying we're trying to have a conversation here. That's all, brother. That's all. Or friend or sir, kind sir. Yeah, some people say that. I agree, Norm. But again, this was the club's 11. Lee has this 11 minus Agüero and substituting Bobby Firmino in for that role. Again, my 11 would have this 11. I would be willing to concede on company. I certainly would be, unfortunately, willing to concede, even though I love Mascherano, I would be willing to concede towards Rodri. De Bruyne is definitely going to get into my lineup as well, despite him being this isn't about being Manchester City or Liverpool player. It's about being, in my mind, the better choice. I would have KDB, but I just think that if this is why I think if you think about it again, I made the argument for Bobby. If you really, really think about it, I think that a Kyle Walker, Mohamed Salah partnership wouldn't be as dynamic as a Trent Alexander-Arnold Salah partnership. I just don't think it would be as dynamic. Or I think there would be more. You'd get more out of a Trent in that role, working with Salah, and you could have arguably one of the most. This would be one of the possibly most offensive-minded teams out there in a long time. You'd have some defensive. Your core would be definitely defensive. You'd have Virgil, you have Company, are all good defensively. You'd have Rodri, a good defensive player himself as well. You'd have Bobby. Your spine of your team would be all good defensive players. But the wings, the players on the outskirts, your Gerrards, your Robos, your Manes, your KDBs, your Salahs, your Trent Alexander-Arnolds. That nucleus, that left triangle and right triangle would be absolutely menacing. I think it would be absolutely menacing. Well, Esper, I guess, you could say Suarez too. I know people are going to say Suarez, but that's just the question. The absolute question. What would you have done? What would you have done? What would you have done with this lineup? Again, what would you, if you could be substituted in as one of the panelists representing Liverpool properly on this show? What would be your suggestion for a combined 11? I think mine and Lee's are both exceptional 11s. I think they're definitely good 11s. You agree, Lee? Or
Yeah.
Any last shouts? Any last trades you want to make?
No, I thought it was a good team. They did a good job. The chat between it, and the players that they didn't mention, and more importantly, some of the players they did mention was bizarre. But that's footy. Everyone's got weirder ideas and that. But yeah, it was a good team. I think that's an excellent team. Who should we have as manager? Jürgen? Or should we have Malcolm Alisson or some City's deep dark past? Yeah, Malcolm Alisson.
Who would you have as who's your coach of this 11? Who is your coach for this 11?
For me, Klopp would be a good coach for that, wouldn't he?
You could have Rafa, or you could have Pellegrini, right? Who are you going to have? Tell me. And tell me why you would choose that too.
Did you see Rooney's brother? He's the manager of whoever it was that knocked Palace out. Wasn't it? Macclesfield. He's the manager of them. I didn't even know he had a brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does, definitely. Who would be your coach? You tell me. Everyone's saying Klopp. Jimmy says Klopp. Lee says Lee Wizkid at least says Jurgen. He supposes. Who would be your 11? I mean, excuse me, your coach too. Tell us your coach too. I'm going to put Norm's team up in a second because he gave out his.
I think Jurgen's because it's a very modern team. There's only Gerrard who came from a while back. The rest of them are all.
I mean, you could have. You could put Roberto Mancini. You could choose obviously Pep. You could choose, like I said, Pellegrini. Obviously Klopp. You could say Benitez. Who would you go? This is the Premier League area.
Yeah. I think with them players, Klopp would be the man. Yeah, Klopp would
Alan
Klopp would
Ball.
win the Champions League year after year with that team, mate. Definitely. He'd get his fill finally after a few disappointments and one success.
He went Ali Walker. He went Diaz. That's an interesting shot, Ruben Diaz. Virgil, Robbie as the back line. He went Stevie, and he went KDB, and then he went Rodri in the DM. Then he went Silva as I guess he Bernardo Silva, excuse me, and then he went Salah, and then he went Suarez. I think did Silva really play on the left wing? I don't think Silva really played on left wing though.
He did, yeah. Sometimes I liked him playing further inside, but he was really good coming in on his not left wing, right wing, like instead of Mane, coming in on his left foot. No, hang on, that doesn't work. That's the other way around. It's the other side, and whatever. Anyway, yeah, he could fit in. Yeah, I'd like him in. If I was to have him in the team, I'd have him in instead of De Bruyne. David Silva.
Oh, you'd have Silva. Gosh. There's no way I'm having. If I had to choose between Bernardo and KDB, I'm choosing.
Oh no, he doesn't figure. Good a player as he is, he's too much of a rat or a dickhead.
All day. Never
yeah. No, I mean Rodri's annoying like that, but like Bernardo Silva, there's no chance, mate. No chance.
Oh man. Retro, who is aka Norm, is saying he's not picking it with formation in mind. I got you. Understood. I think we did a decent job, to be honest with you. I know, no. You can tell this is a Liverpool channel and it's a Liverpool chat as well, because Klopp would, I think, work this. I think for what this team would be asked to do, Klopp would be the best manager to be associated with that question or that assignment. But Pep Guardiola would be is a phenomenal, if not one of the best coaches of all time. But I don't think that this lineup would be good at tiki-taka. I don't think it would really work that well. And maybe their lineup would, but I know the lineup that I suggested I don't think would be good with Pep's vision of football. Just my opinion. You're all welcome to your own. Thus, I would love to know what your opinion is. Do tell us out there what your 11 was in the comments. I'm sure some are going to tell us where we got it wrong, and hopefully more than not tell us where we got it right. But I just thought that it was interesting. You got to admit, it was an interesting episode, right? Lee?
Sorry, say it again.
I said you got to admit that it was an interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was a decent idea. We could make loads of teams, like especially with different formations. If we did 4-4-2, 4-2-4, all different ones, and that 3-5-2, and all that bollocks, like 3-4-3. We could have loads of different teams, couldn't we? But for that formation like that, that was a great team we picked. Yeah. It was good. Can have no quibbles with it. Sometimes you see them and they're dead half-assed, aren't they? These like combination teams, like, but this one is really, really good, isn't it? Like,
Agreed. All right, people. Big up to Norm. Big up to Lee Wizkid. Big up to our rival. Let's see, Knight of Universe 777. Big up to said Lee, I said Norm. Big up to Jimmy, by the way. Big up to Jimmy for sure, each and every time. Also, big up to Trudon that was putting in some really good suggestions. Big up the Bonkers. Big up to anyone that just like played along with us. That was just the point of it. Just having fun with this. It's all. The weight of the world doesn't fall on us on our opinions, but doesn't mean that we can't have them. So I appreciate you guys chiming in, telling us what you think, giving us kind of a brush on it. Big game tomorrow, huh? Big game, right, Lee?
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about what Norm was saying in the chat there. I used to like Man City as a club, obviously because they were no threat. And half the time they weren't even in our division; they'd been relegated, and they were
Right.
Man United's bitter rivals. And nobody rips on Man United in as funny a way as us or them do. Because I've seen some of their, I was watching something on YouTube, like a forum of their fans from a long time ago, before City had any money, when they were like still in like Division 2. And the funny things they said about United just crippled me. Yeah, I used to have a liking for Man City, but then obviously they became our rivals. Like,
Yeah.
now with what they've done and the way they've done it. But
I think what makes it tough to like or appreciate sometimes Manchester City is because their fan base is predominantly like I think it's not as big as it's made out to be, but I also think that Manchester City's fan base has some really hardcore, loyal fans that have been ride or dies from since
not half.
the
Them fans that have been right through it with them, like down to
yeah,
the third division, mate, or League Two, whatever it's bloody called now. I mean,
yeah,
that to go there and come back to where they are now.
yeah.
And
It's
some
not
of them
easy.
are okay. Yeah, some of them are very genuine when you encounter
Yeah,
them in multi-club chats or whatever. And if you're respectful or whatever of what they've done, then will be back. But
but
yeah,
then
it's
there's
hard to like them anymore. You know what I mean? But I was so thrilled when they beat United to the title that time. That was
yeah,
one of their more recent Premier League titles that I was thrilled for them to win. Was that day was glorious, wasn't it, the way it happened dead late on, and then to see the face on Rooney and all them at the end when it had been snatched away from them, absolute gold. My little brother put a bet on, and remember that was funny about it as well. He put a bet on that they'd do it, and he won, and he was made up like.
I think it's funny because like again, a good number of their fan base is just people that are the reason why they're Manchester City fans is because Manchester City win. So therefore they're like front runners, I guess you could call it, or they're on the Manchester City bandwagon. And that could
Yeah, I
be
wonder if some of their newer fans will still be there in a few years if they stop being successful the way they've been.
yeah. I think a good number of them will stop being Manchester City fans if they get if they're found guilty. I believe you'll find a lot of people drop off of being Manchester City fans that
Yeah.
will all of a sudden, gravitate to whoever's the
Yeah, I suspect that of the fans that they have picked up worldwide, I suspect that a lot of them wouldn't be in it for the long haul if the success stopped, and they would transfer their affections over to somebody else soon enough. Some of them.
yeah. People, we are past the 90-minute mark or 10 minutes into extra time, so we're going to just allow for it to be called here. As a major stain against them. Absolutely. Absolutely is a major stain. Jeez. That guy is on a troll brigade. He is on
Well, the name's SPO. Maybe it's short for espionage. Sort of like John reconnaissance, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Gathering information for City.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'll tell you this information, and that is tomorrow's game is big. We have to definitely achieve some type of result tomorrow to keep pace with City and Manchester United. Or excuse me, Manchester United and Chelsea, who have all won today. I don't really care if Manchester City. I don't really care if Manchester City wins the title, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm willing to lose a game against Manchester City just so that they have a better chance of beating Arsenal to the title. That's not in my MO. So, Lee, you want to say something to people before we let them enjoy the rest of their evening?
Oh, for me, it's a must win tomorrow. We need them 3 points to keep up with United and Chelsea. I mean, it couldn't be two teams that are loads more. They are the two teams I hate the most because the rivalry with Chelsea is newer than the one with United, but they're the two clubs that I hate the most. To lose out to one of them in the Champions League race will be horrible to go through. So we must win tomorrow for me. And hopefully we can do that. We just need a performance, obviously, don't we? It's easy enough saying it, but I mean, we showed we could do it against Newcastle. And Newcastle had some all right results of late. They've had some bad ones too, but they've had some really good results coming off the back of a good result.
I don't know. Do you think
I
don't even know if Eddie Howe has a job next year, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, they lost today. They're about to lose possibly. That story about Tonali is an accurate story. Apparently, his agent has come out and said that the player is happy to be where he's at, but he's also interested in he wants consistent Champions League football, and he doesn't believe he can get it from Newcastle. So, he wants to embark in that conversation about finding Tonali another team when the summer comes, and that's not good. Once you start seeing players do revolts like that, that could be a serious issue in your.
I like him. He's got good in Tonali. Over the years, we had a few Italian midfielders. Di Matteo did okay, but most of them have flopped, the central midfielders. He's a good player. If Arsenal go for him, they're strong at the moment, and they're obviously going to ask again in the summer. But we've got some work on our hands for next season, haven't we? Just taking it on a few months, to the summer. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good.
If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah, you definitely do. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's, here we have a Super Bowl coming up tomorrow. It's going to be it's going to be difficult. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's Super Bowl tomorrow. We have this could be considered some Super Bowl, a Super Bowl tomorrow too, in that we have two behemoths in the game going at it, and it'll be fun tomorrow. It'll be fun. Either way, it'll be fun. Hopefully, I'll have fun. Hopefully, I'll have the ability to go and parade next to the Manchester City supporter pub is around the corner from, it's a walk. You could walk. It's walking distance from our supporter club in here in the city. So Manchester United, different story. Manchester United is they're like miles down the road from everything. So it's a lot. It's not an easy. It's not easy to get there. You'd have to actually want to go there because there's not much around where that supporter pub, where Manchester United supporter pub is. And ever since they've been losing the way they have, they're not as welcoming as as sometimes they were in the past to people joining them for the games. So, but anyways,
I was just thinking of the film 51st State, where they go in that Man U supporters bar. Robert Carlyle and Paul Barber. Well, he's outside in the car. That's funny, that bit.
yeah. Good movie too. I like that movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? 51st
Yeah.
State. I got a laugh out of it.
Yeah. All right. I will let you guys do your thing. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend so far. I hope you have a start of a fantastic weekend. I hope it continues as well. You know, tonight is going to be a good night for people, I hope, and I hope Sunday will be an even better one. Do you want to say goodbye to the people before we bounce?
Yeah, cheers everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting your 2 penneth in along with me and 12. And we'll see you soon enough.
Yeah. We'll have a post match tomorrow. I won't be able to conduct a roll call tomorrow, but we will have a post match tomorrow. I'm going to get seats at my supporter pub. It's for big games, you have to go extra early because people tend to make the extra effort to come out on the big games. So, so I'm going to make sure that I'm there bright and early, and it's going to be a bright and early one for me. So, a long day tomorrow. Got, like I said, a bunch going on. I got to work tonight, the whole 9. So it'll be a fun one. But until tomorrow, we wish you all the best. And as always, up the Reds, people. Have a good night, and we'll catch you tomorrow.